everyone, it's Renee. Today's video is not going to be weight loss related. Oh, there's Molly. Today is going to be disability related. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm still playing around with my sound, and this is just a straight iPhone camera sound. Hope you can hear me. So, a little bit about my story. I have to give you a little bit of a history. I'll try to make this as short as possible because I just really want to share what's happening. So, maybe the last 7 years, I have struggled a little bit with anxiety. I was at the drive-in theater one time and had my first full-on panic attack. I didn't know what was happening to me. I started breathing heavy. It wasn't even a scary movie. It was Harry Potter. I think the second Deathly Hallows. So not scary. I was excited to be there. But all of a sudden it just hit me, and I have no idea to this day why. But either way, it happened. And hubby took me to the doctor, to the ER, because I thought I was having a heart attack. They're like, you're not, you're having a panic attack, which I did not believe. I did not believe them for months that that's what happened. I just didn't know what happened. So it's what happened. And because I had a few minor episodes like that a few months after, and really nothing like that since. I have anxiety, but not to that extent where I had this full-on panic attack where you have to go to the ER and they have to help you cool your jets. Well, about in November, mid-November, this past year, 2017, we were taking my grandsons to meet their dad, and we're doing a kid exchange. And I was in the back of the van, and I had started having this weird, strange sensation. I really thought like my head filled up, and like I couldn't hear very well, and my heart started racing, and I really thought I was having a stroke or a heart attack or something. I mean, I'm overweight, obviously, and I just thought that's what it was because it didn't feel exactly the same way as 6 years before. So went to the hospital, and they decided it was panic attack, which I went along with it because I realized, yeah, it probably is. I felt it before. It felt similar, but not exactly the same. So anyways, long story short, I had a panic attack in November, the 15th. And so at that time, we had some construction going on in our house. We completely remodeled, and from August to pretty much December, my house was in a complete disarray. It was stressful. And during this particular weekend in November, our room was almost finished and they were gonna paint. So we had to be out of the house. Well, because I have a neuromuscular disease that occasionally, very rarely, lucky me, affects your diaphragm, your phrenic nerve. So I have partially paralyzed diaphragm. So it's hard for me to breathe. In addition to being overweight, it makes it worse. So I have to use a BiPAP, especially at night or when I'm sick. When I'm super stressed and tired, I find breathing is difficult, even more difficult. So sometimes I'll use it during the day, very rarely. Only, like I said, when I'm really sick or really out of it and just not feeling well. And also, if I'm not feeling well and I want to be in the bed, because my diaphragm is paralyzed, when I sit on a soft surface, everything pushes up and it makes it difficult to breathe. I can sit on a harder surface or like in my wheelchair, fine, no problem. I don't need it. But the soft surface like that, like a bed, like a hospital bed, it pushes up and it makes it harder to breathe. So I was already a little bit stressed because of what was happening. And so, and plus the stress of the long months that we've had with construction. Well, that night, actually, that weekend, we were going to go spend the night at my husband's sister's house She lives near us. And so I had my BiPAP machine in the car because we were going to go spend the night. We're going to drop off the boys and then go spend the night at our house. Well, when I had this full-on panic attack, hubby running. When I had this full-on panic attack in the hospital, after they did the EEG or EKG and decided I wasn't having a cardiac issue, and things calmed down, my husband's like, I see you're struggling. I'm gonna go get the BiPAP. Okay, great. So I've got my BiPAP machine on. It helps with pressure in and pressure out. It's not just a CPAP like people with sleep apnea. It's a little bit different. It's a little more assistance getting air in and out. So anyway, he went and got that, and when the internist came in to tell me, everything was okay, all he could focus on was my BiPAP. Why are you having a BiPAP? Why do you have it with you? Why, do you need this? Why are you having such difficult breathing? And they was asking all these questions. And I was like, answering the question. And in my mind, I'm thinking, dude, I'm fine, I've just been sick. I've been on it a lot lately. And there's a little chip in the back, so they were able to read it. So they were able to see how much I'd been using it. So this doctor flipped out and decided that basically I was completely dependent on it, and was asking me questions like, so what do you do during the day? Do you drive? Do you work? Etc., etc. Well, I do drive, actually. And matter of fact, we had just bought a brand new van, and I had assisted brake and assisted steering put in it because, my muscle disease has gotten slightly more involved with my arms, not too much, but enough to where I think I needed a little bit more help for confidence, if nothing else, braking and steering. I mean, I could steer fine, but when you kind of turn the wheel sometimes, especially if you're stopped and you have to turn the wheel, it's really hard. I'll have to use two hands on my tri-pin. So I don't want to do any of that. So we had the resources. We were buying a new van anyways. So we had assisted braking and steering put in. So I told this guy, look, I just had this stuff put in my car. I have no problem driving. It's very easy. In fact, the van was still, that stuff at that moment was still being installed in the van as we spoke. So we were still driving our old van, and our new van was being equipped with this new stuff for me. Well, there's Maggie. Hi, Maggie. So, all this doctor wanted to do was focus on my BiPAP, and decided, and then told me, and then they wanted to admit me. So they admitted me to the hospital, which I didn't really want to be admitted, but me and my husband were joking like, hey, it's a $75 copay. Hey, this is cheaper than a hotel, which we had to stay somewhere that night anyways, which we're going to my sister-in-law's. But we're like, okay, let's maybe they need to observe me, because that's what they said, for observation. Maybe I need to be observed, so okay, we'll stay. So I stayed, but that's all they wanted to focus on, not the panic, not the anxiety that I had experienced. Nobody talked about that a single time. Not one more time, never. Didn't even discuss it, bring it up ever. So this guy comes in the next morning, this internist and the pulmonologist, and they decided that to tell me, after they'd already done it, that because I have this, debilitating disease, which what I have is called Charcot-Marie tooth. And it's a neuromuscular disease, and it's not typically as bad as I have it. You don't usually have your hands as involved. I mean, there are cases. I've known people over the years that I met through social media that are as involved as me, maybe even more in some ways. But for the most part, my mom has it. She still walks. And for the most part, people with CMT walk, run, ride bikes, do marathons. They just have a little bit of hand involvement and feet involvement. It's not very often, that's lucky me, that we have all of the treasures, complete. I have no muscle ability from the knee down at all. Can't even move my toes. Can't move my hands. You know, I can move my arms. I have the breathing problem. So, and other fun things, but it's not common to have that for CMT. But this doctor, first of all, I wanted to punch him in the face because he comes in and tells me, well, look, because you have this thing, we had to report you to the DMV. So your license is now suspended, which by the way, Dr. Trim, it was not suspended. They did put like an alert on me, and I got a letter in the mail a couple days after I got home from the hospital saying, we're gonna evaluate you, come in January 30th for, they call it a hearing, for a re-examination, which is tomorrow. And so, yeah, fun times. So I get to go and basically be punished. That's how I feel. I feel it was punitive. You know, I was there for a panic attack. I thought I was having a heart attack. I was having full-blown anxiety, and they punished me by trying to take away my driver's license. So that was hard. I was really upset, like really upset. I haven't really talked about it too much. I'm pretty open, especially on social media. I put my whole life out there. People that follow me know. Well, not my whole life, but a lot of my life is out there. And I've not talked about this because it's a little embarrassing. Like, I feel like I'm being targeted, or like, I don't know. It's embarrassing that I have to be re-examined. Why? Because I have a muscle disease, but the doctor, this is what he said. It wasn't even talking about my muscle disease. This doctor, oh, and by the way, I have seen people that have muscle diseases that are way, way more involved than me drive, and no problem. They have way tricky, fancy, assistive technology. They drive like there's this little steering wheel like right in front of them that drives the actual steering wheel of the car. They just barely turn it, or they use their thumbs. Okay, I don't need to do any of that. I can fully use my arms to drive. I don't need that. It's so cool that they have that, but I don't need that. And lost my train of thought. But anyways, so he wanted to focus on, this doctor, he wanted to focus on my breathing. He actually said that the reason why he's doing it is because if I'm wearing my BiPAP driving down the street and it miraculously flies off of my face, I could pass out and kill somebody. Okay. First of all, Dr. Homeskillet, I don't know anybody that drives with their BiPAP. I certainly wouldn't drive with my BiPAP. And I've never passed out in my life. My blood sats, my oxygen levels are fine. They are 98, 97, 95, 95, or 4 on a bad day. So it's not my body, my blood deals with my oxygen well. The problem is the diaphragm getting it in. But it's not gonna just suddenly stop working as my BiPAP flies off my face. Give me a break. That was the logic, which was not logical at all. So make a long story short, I have to go to the DMV tomorrow for a hearing, and I have to have a re-examination of my abilities. I don't even know if my abilities, like, I don't think I'm having an actual driving test. I actually called today and asked them what to expect, and they said I have to take a mini test, a half test, like a written test, which I just did last June, but I have to do it again, and because I had to renew my license, and then I have to, I don't know, I guess a hearing of some sort. So I really don't know what to expect. I don't know what's going to happen after. I can't imagine they're not going to want to see me drive. They might see me drive. I don't know. Maybe they'll schedule it later. I don't know. But if that happens, I'll let you know. But I'm like really mad at that doctor. I just feel Like well, first of all, he wouldn't listen to me. And he was telling me, he actually told me that not only should I not drive anymore, but because of how bad my disability is, I need to think about a tracheostomy, like a breathing tube in my throat. And while I'm at it, I should get a feeding tube while I was still healthy enough to have the surgery. And I'm like, excuse me? I don't have Lou Gehrig's disease. I don't have ALS. I don't even have muscular dystrophy. I have a neuromuscular disease called Charcot-Marie-Tooth, not the same. And any of those things are not necessary. So when I got out, I had to go to my doctor, and they filled out some paperwork for me. It was required by the DMV. And I told them what happened and what these doctors said, and they were all like, are you kidding me? You're not at this stage. We wouldn't in a million years recommend those treatments for you. I'm like, thank you very much. I felt validated at that point. So I really hope this last step for this whole driver's re-examination thing is going to be over tomorrow. So I will let you know. I will update. So if anybody out there in the disability world has had a similar experience with driver's safety, let me know. I'd love to hear down in the comments. Shoot me an email. Let's commiserate. I'd love to know why and what your experience was and what ended up happening. So that's my story. I'm not going to make this any longer. It's already almost 17 minutes, but I just wanted to share that with you, what's happening. I hadn't at this point, like I said, spoke about it or even posted about it in public. So here's my story and I'm sticking to it. So anyways, I wish you guys all a healthy and happy day. I am looking forward to your responses. Please subscribe, like my video, and I will add you back. So take care and health and happiness to you all. Bye.